Alrighty, yeah. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's market recap webinar of the US markets. What a week we've had this week with a bit of a sell-off going on, starting from midweek, moving in towards the end of the week after the announcement from the Federal Reserve announcing that interest rates were not changing. However, their outlook for inflation is a little bit stronger than they thought they had predicted, and their first announcement for a first rate hike in 2023. Investors were spooked by this, obviously, and the market started to sell off from Wednesday in towards the end of the week. So we've seen quite a volatile market this week. Hopefully you've had your profit stops set and your stop losses set as well. Just sort of knowing this was coming, this sort of announcement was coming. Okay, let's get straight into it. So let's have a look at the S&P 500. This is the chart you're looking at the moment. We've got the price action still sort of ranging between the channel that we've got here. However, you might notice I've got two lines on the chart here now, as opposed to the last few weeks. So the uppermost line here, this is the original line that I had put in, connecting the lowest low of the series. The lowest low of the series and the nearest touch of supports. As you can see, the S&P 500 last week did violate this this line and move into violate the second line, which is showing a touch from the lowest low of the series, and this fairly large sell-off here at the start of March there. As you can see, we've got two big candles touching that area. Yeah, so having a look, it'll be very interesting to see what happens if this line is broken with fair volume next week. Yeah, I think it's sort of sit back and see what happens sort of week next week, I would imagine. And remembering that cash is always a position that you can keep yourself in when markets are like this, very uncertain and yeah, not sort of clearly defined its direction. So yeah, don't be afraid to keep cash. Don't overtrade in this sort of environment. Save your capital and wait for the storm to clear. The opportunities will be there, which we'll talk about shortly. Okay, let's move into sectors. So year to date, awesome. I've got the vertical, sorry, mind blank, vertical line here, signaling the start of the week, and have a look at, oh my God, look at the bleeding. Let's come back to that. Okay, actually, here we go. So financials have taken a massive hit this week, going from up 48% down to 38%, losing 10% within the week. Now, this is probably because of what was said at the meeting, but in saying that, have a look at all the rest. Sorry, that was energy, not financials. Energy's just tanked 10%, my bad. So 10% tank on energy. Moving down to financials. So they have been sitting their highest high, well, highest highs up here. The high of the week, sorry, 26.2%, dropping down to 19.5. So 6.75% decrease on financials, and now dropping below real estate. So real estate now the second strongest sector for the year. But look at the downward slope on all of these sectors this week. So real estate's down 3.5%. We've got communications and internet services down 2%. We've got, what's up, BXLB, so materials. We've got materials down 6%. We've got industrials down from the highs, 4%. S&P's down 2.5% roughly. Healthcare sort of held up quite nicely. So we're sitting down 0.8% or ish, 0.7-ish%, not too bad. We've got tech down only slightly as well. They've fared quite well too. Just under 1%, around 0.9%. And utilities taking a nosedive as well. So where are we here? 5.5. That's lost 2.75-ish% on the week. So yes, it's been a fairly rocky week. Hopefully you've had a green week and you managed to take some profits away before the rug sort of was pulled from underneath us there towards the end of the week. And yes, as I said before, next week looks like it's going to be a sort of wait and see week. All right, moving on. Let's have a look at the calendar for this week. We don't have a whole heap of events going on this week for the markets to further digest, which is good. Maybe this gives the market some time to settle, I guess, to allow the storm to settle. So interesting ones. We've got the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, talking on Tuesday. And this is about the general outlook of inflation, I believe it was that I read. Home starts, not super important, but they probably will be down from what I've been reading. And GDP and gross domestic product for the first quarter, they're estimating that it will remain the same, and that jobless claims forecasted to be 32,000 lower for this week. So that will probably be the most interesting one, jobless claims, and well, these two together, jobless claims and what Jerome Powell says at his meeting tomorrow, which is a sort of, from what I was reading, it was sort of something that's been prepared by him, that he's well prepared and is ready to present. And then there'll be a Q&A session towards the end. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out from that. Okay, let's have a look. So this week, I haven't taken any new stock positions. I've only sold puts on companies this week and taken a few scalps here and there, but I'm not really going to talk much about the scalps in this forum. The positions just come and go too quickly, so I've decided to leave that out. But I'll have a little chat about some of the short option positions that I have taken for this week. So first one being Wish. I'll bring that up. Taking a Wish short put option contract at $10 for expiration at the end of this week coming up ahead. Happy if that one is to go into the money. Current support there being $7.50, so I'll be down around $250 if it does reach that mark. However, something that's good with option contracts, and if you can stomach if you have the patience and you can stomach the seeing the unrealized losses on your account, you can sell covered calls on your current open positions to try and make some of that money back. In the meantime, create some income, and ultimately try and sell the stock for higher when it does make, when and if it does make a sort of reversal. So that's the first one I took. I'll see then another one. Next one, CCXI. So I already have a long position on this company, but the implied volatility on this company was super high. I managed to sell a contract for 1.3, so $130 for a $7.50 put option. So all the way down here. So this is where the stock needs to be at expiry for this to be in the money for the option buyer. And the expiry I have on that is November the 19th. So still got a fair while away. But as you can see, it's sort of curling up there. It might take a bit of a hit next week, but again, 750, my absolute maximum loss on this position here will be $750 minus the option premium that I will be collecting, which is $130. So that's $620 or something like that, and that's only if the company ends up going bust, and the stock ends up at zero. And as you can see here, it's not done that. So far it's gone okay. So yeah, so it took a $7.50 put, and even if it does end up down here, which I don't know if it will, because have a look at the volume since this huge drop here. It's quite high compared to where it's been back when it was trading for around this amount here. But as you can see though, we can still be selling covered calls and make and release the shares around this 13, well, around this 11, 13 range. So I'm pretty confident in this trade. So that's another one. As I said, I've already got a long position in this as well. So you could probably say I'm pretty bullish on this setup anyway. Okay, next one. What else? AMD. This is the last one I've opened this week. AMD, again, implied volatility was quite high. So what will I be taking on this? Let's have a look. It's only, it's not as much. It's only 0.25, so not a huge amount. But I'm already up. Oh no, I'm not up. I'm down a little bit on that one so far. But that's December 17th, for a 47.5 put. So that's all the way here, around here. There it is. Okay, so that's my that's where I'll start to lose money. Minus the premium. So yeah, so that area there minus premium, and I sold the put around this area because of this support here. You can see the 3 touches of support here, and I've sold just below that. Yeah, it's out, it's long dated, but with risk management for my account, I could sell puts up here if I wanted to, but if this goes in the money, and looking at how next week's going to end up, it's looking like next week's the market's going to bleed next week, in my opinion. We'll need to see how tomorrow opens up, but I think there's going to be more of a sell-off next week. And if AMD does bounce off this resistance here, this resistance line here, trend line there that I have marked in, because it is in a downtrend, as you can see, even though the last little micro move has been to the upside. If it is to go in the money there, I'll be paying around $7,200 for that, just to take the stock there. And if it does break this area, the next area of support is down here at where I have sold this, short put. So again, pretty confident in that. And if it does start making its way down there, I'll reassess as time goes by. But that's quite a big move that it needs to make. It is quite far away, but I don't need to wait till expiry to close that off. So at the moment, let's do that again. Where are we? Yeah. Oh. So for this option contract to go in the money, I'll need to drop to 44%, just under 44% from where it is at the moment. That's a huge move. So yeah, so I'm pretty confident in that. And even still, if I do have to take the shares at that amount, it's a lot less than it is up here. So 7,200 versus 4,750. That's a significant amount. And it gives me time as well. If this isn't gonna go my way, it gives me 40% worth of time to decide what I'm going to do with that position, rather than just a few days if this does sell off into next week. So that's my thought process on that. Okay, so short and sweet for the stocks I'm watching next week, because there's not a whole lot of great setups that I'm looking at the moment, or with the analysis that I did today. There's a lot of stocks that are in the middle of a move to the downside. A lot of sales I'm seeing coming up. A lot of companies that are moving into territories that are going to be great places to buy when this sort of overreaction fades away a little bit. So let's have a look. First, Apple. I did close a position out. I did have a profit target set for 131-ish, I think, or just under. And my profit stop was taken out there. Nice little gain on Apple there. I think I got into the move around this area here, 126. So yeah, that was a really nice five point move. However, I'll be watching it moving through this sort of pennant triangle pattern here that you see. So I'm having some brain farts this afternoon. So yes, so watching it as it goes through this triangle pattern. It looks like it wants to break to the upside, but the general market may sort of pull this down into next week. We'll see if it's an outlier though. I may take a position if it does break this area, because it is very clearly defined, which is fantastic. And other speculators and investors will be looking at that as well. So next is Abbott Labs. It's been on the cards for a couple of weeks now, moving nicely to the upside. I've got some volume coming in here now. Again, we'll see what the general market does next week. It did struggle there. Ended up in the green at the end of the session, but I think dragged down sort of by the general market at the end of last week. So you may want to take a starter in that and see if it moves higher to the upside. But for me, I'll sort of just wait to see what happens come next week. Okay, next, AMD. This is sort of a breakout pattern that I'm watching. If it can break these sort of two resistance areas and sort of downward sloping trend lines here that I've got some decent volume coming in over the last 2 days, even though the general market was sort of bleeding out. So that's that is something to keep your eye on. And if it does sort of want to start breaking this area here with decent volume, I'll be looking to take a position in that and sort of ride the upwards train. Next, AYX, as you can see, starting to break out of this slightly downward sloping channel here that I have marked on the chart here. If it does sort of start to move up from here with decent volume, I'd like to see it over this level here, $90, or I even may take a small position just breaking out of this channel. And then if it does start to push up higher than this 90 area here, where you can see the highest high of the series is, I may add to the position there as well, because it will be pushing over that 50 MA as well. So that one's looking quite nice. Salesforce doing really, really well off the back of awesome earnings. They beat by a fair amount, 35%. That's really, really great. So they're doing really well, and we'll see how things fare next week. Etsy slowly moving up after their big sell-off. They did make money, but their forward guidance wasn't fantastic. They're sort of channeling and sort of ranging here a little bit, but slightly sloping to the upside. I'll just move that a little bit. Yeah, slightly sloping to the upside with those lows. So keeping an eye on that. Western Union, big sell-off. We've seen a little bit of buying though around this 200-day moving average. 200-day moving average is a strong moving average that a lot of investors and traders use. So if we can see a bit of a reversal from here, that would be positive, and possibly looking to ride that towards the upside. If we see a break though, could be a possible short position. CCXI, I already talked about this, but and already have a long position, but may add to the position this week depending on how we do. Decent volume over the last few days. Campbell Soup, big sell-off here after they missed earnings, but they're not freaking going anywhere. They've been in business for tens of billions of years, it seems. Yeah, big sell-off, slightly downward sloping highs, but consolidating lows. So we'll see how that goes there. It's either going to move to the upside from there, or it's moving lower. We've got some decent volume coming in. As you can see from the price action, a lot of the volumes coming in as selling at the moment. So keeping an eye on that into next week. General market again may sort of pull it down a little bit. So that's what I mean. That's why the list here this evening isn't huge either, because I'm so uncertain about what will happen next week. And yeah, some of the charts are just wild at the moment, as I'm sure you're aware if you've done your analysis for next week. So they're on my main watch list for next week, but I'll be keeping an eye on my broader watch list next week as well, as things sort of chop and change, and just see what sort of the environment does. With that being said, everyone, it's a shorter one than usual. Stay safe next week. Don't trade without conviction, and don't trade because you feel like you need to. Don't overtrade. If it's not looking good, if you don't have a good feeling about what's happening in the general market, let alone what's happening with the stock itself, just leave it alone. Close your trading app and find something else to do, or catch up on some sleep. And that's definitely what I'll be doing next week. If things don't look fantastic, if they look really, really grim, I'll be looking to get some early shut eye, because there's nothing worse than overtrading in an uncertain environment. So protect your capital, your financial capital, protect your mental capital as well. Don't wear yourself thin because the market's not doing what you want it to do. The market will do whatever it does. You can't project what you want onto the market. It will do what the majority wants it to do, buying or selling. It's supply and demand. That's how it works. So stay safe. Don't waste your money. Don't overtrade. Be smart. Be sensible. Let's be good traders. All right, guys. I will check back in with you next week. Thanks again for coming. Hope you took some value out of this. And if you have any questions, please shoot them through. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great start to the week. And we will do this again next weekend. Peace out, guys.